Hey, what's going on, fam? This is Jay Cameron inviting you to join us in Ethiopia next March 2025. And this is going to be an iconic trip that you don't want to miss, a trip of a lifetime. We're going to be visiting Addis Ababa, Gondor, Lalibela. You'll have a chance to taste the amazing Ethiopian food. You'll also have a chance to visit the Rastafarian community. You'll get the history, you'll get the fashion, you have an opportunity to shop. It's going to be a trip, an experience of a lifetime. So make sure you sign up to join us in Ethiopia, March 2025.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to give the broadcast a big thumbs up, and share. That way other folks will know that we're here. It activates the algorithms to send out more notifications. And how many of you all know we need all the notifications we can get when we are representing topics and issues that matter to you. So thank you so very much, family. Listen, of course, you all know we have been doing a whole lot of coverage concerning the upcoming elections here in the United States. And that's so important because we as Black media are actually and essentially a counter voice, a counter threat, a counter voice, a counter force to mainstream media's centuries old media apparatus. That's a hell of a position to be in, to be one of the few lone voices to actually penetrate the ecosystem so that we're able to give you true information and commentary that matters to you. So, of course, the powers that shouldn't be don't necessarily like the fact that we're here doing that. It's important that we have these types of discussions concerning what's really going on in politics because folks want us to be caught up in an illusion, in something that's superficial and not something that's actually tangible. This is why it's so important, and the reason why they don't really appreciate voices like ours, the establishment that is, because we're demanding not that just you acknowledge racism or white supremacy, not just you giving a nod to some of our difficulties over the many centuries in this country. It's the fact that when we demand that you do something about it is when they have a problem. And when it comes down to the political parties, that's where we see no distinction. So when we give the Democrat Party, and I should speak for myself, when I give the Democrat Party this everlasting word, it is based on the fact that we're actually giving you something, our vote, giving you the power to change our condition, and you aren't doing it. That makes you a worse enemy than the other side because we're actually giving you power to do something and you're just playing in our face. And that dog don't hunt anymore. How many of you all know that Black Americans in the United States have overwhelmingly supported the Democrat Party now for nearly 60 some years? Something has got to change. And we don't owe you nothing. Family, I have been discussing the Black farmers here in the United States and the billions and billions of dollars that we've owed them for generations of racism and discrimination, and we have failed to do anything about it after all of these many decades and a couple of different generations that have passed since. Well, the current Democrat regime, the authoritarian Democrat Party, are responsible as well. Just a few months ago, and even before that a bit, but specifically even as recently, I should say as a few months ago, I should put it that way, Mr. John Boyd, he is the president of the Black Farmers Association, talked about the fact that they're so disenchanted with the Biden administration, they was refusing to even vote for the Democrats. They said that explicitly. And they're going to be open even to Donald Trump in terms of saying stuff like, what have you done for me? Meaning they're going to be open to either side. It's not because they love Donald Trump. It's because we don't see the Democrat Party or the Republican Party any different. Our votes are for sale. We're going for whoever does the most for Black Americans. Do you understand? We're not trying to look deep into your heart about where you stand on stuff because both of you all have a problem with us. So whatever the tangible benefits we can derive most from either party, that's the party, in my opinion, that makes the most sense. I want you to watch something that just recently took place just over the past days. Watch this clip.
This is a very, very historic payout for Black farmers, and I see it as a huge win for myself and the National Black Farmers Association that worked on this for nearly 4 decades. So basically, 60,000 applications were turned in, 45,000 Black farmers and other farmers of color have begun receiving checks this week and the latter part of last week So it's very, very good news, and a total of $2 billion. So we've been waiting for this payout for a long time. And the MBFA went out and held 60 meetings, Amy, in FaceTime with our members. We sent out 130,000 postcards in the mail to all of our members, telling them how to apply for this. It took us, Amy, on average 3 to 3.5 hours to help each and every Black farmer fill out this 40-page application. So it was a very extensive process. And so we were glad to get the news that from Stephen Benjamin at the White House actually called me and told me that the checks were actually going out to farmers around the country. So we see this as...
Somebody say, voila. Somebody say, just like magic. What you just witnessed there was the voice of our brother, Mr. Boyd, who's the president of this Black Farmers Association, excited about the fact that under this Democrat regime, they just released $2 billion of several other billions of dollars that they're owed, at least another $5 billion they're owed. Of course, they're owed way more than that, but at least another $5 billion that has to do directly with their actual land was just released, just in time for the presidential election. Now, this article that I'm reading from by Taylor Penley, this headline says, Georgia Black farmers disenchanted with Biden consider supporting Trump. Quote, what have you done for me? Black farmers in the Peach State are becoming increasingly disillusioned with President Biden, according to a recent New York Times report, and losing the small voting bloc could spell further bad news for Democrats come November. President Trump, I'm quoting, he did something for us while he was in office. President Biden, what have you done for us, John Slaughter? John Slaughter, a 39-year-old farmer from Georgia, told the outlet. Slaughter is among a number of Black farmers who have pivoted toward the former president as unique struggles persist for the demographic. In his own stance, it goes on to talk about Donald Trump and some of the others in this particular piece. This is interesting, family, because that piece I just read from was just from a few weeks ago, and another piece prior to that I was reading to my audience was from a few months ago, where it talks about how how the Black Democrats have cooled on the Democrat Party and Joe Biden because they have refused under the Democrat Party to issue checks that are due to them. Well, guess what just happened, family? At the time that you're viewing this broadcast, which I'm not sure exactly when it will air, but it's ABC News report from July 31st, just a few days from the date that I'm recording, says Black and other minority farmers are getting $2 billion from the USDA after years of discrimination. The Biden administration has doled out more than $2 billion in direct payments for Black and other minority farmers discriminated against by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. More than 23,000 farmers were approved for payments ranging from $10,000 to $500,000, according to the USDA. Another 20,000 who planned to start a farm but did not receive a USDA loan received between $3,500 and $6,000. Most payments went to farmers in Mississippi and Alabama. USDA Secretary Tom Vilsack told reporters that the aid is not compensation for anyone's loss or the pain endured, but it's an acknowledgement by the department. Family, I want you to watch this next clip.
Now, this financial assistance is not compensation for anyone's loss or the pain endured, but it is an acknowledgement by the department. And our hope is, and the president's hope is, that this financial assistance will help many farmers stay on the farm, contribute to our nation's food supply, and continue to do what they love.
Okay, family, in that clip, did you see U.S. Secretary Tom Vilsack explain the fact that they've just now cut these checks? And how this is not even all the money that they're really due, but this is an acknowledgement for the difficulty of these Black farmers. When we tell you that when Black folks decide that we're not going to vote for you, it forces the Democrats to get some act right. It works. That's exactly what the farmers did. Mr. John Boyd, he was the one that you saw in the original clip. He came out publicly and told the Democrats, we're not voting for you. He came out publicly and told Biden, we're not voting for you. until y'all cut our checks. Now, for all of you black Democrat shields that say that we have to jump through all these red hoops and we don't understand how Congress works, we don't understand how the government works, guess what? Nothing changed over the past few months from between when the black farmers said earlier this year, we're not voting for you, Biden, or the Democrats, till a few months later, until just now. There's no new Congress that's there. There's no new president yet. But they waited all the way up to this late date, the Democrats, knowing full well that they were possibly losing homes, being evicted, equipment messed up. Can you imagine the children that they weren't able to send to college? Can you imagine the employees that they had to let go because they didn't have the money that they needed? Can you imagine the other economic financial hardships that they faced while the Democrats played with the money that they've been due for generations? I'm happy they got the money, but I'm trying to show you that it's always been a game with these devils. In the book that I love to read from, entitled How White Folks Got So Rich, there is a section that specifically is labeled Farmers Home Administration, the FHA. This is dealing with the exact same issue. And it also discusses the Farmers Home Administration, the FHA, the exact same department that we're dealing with right now. How many of you all know? Listen to this on page 73. It says that despite the reality, the Farmers Home Administration, the FHA, was set up in 1930 to give loans and subsidies to white farmers to sustain and maintain their operations. To achieve this unstated racist purpose, the FHA allowed local whites to operate the program, and they, not the federal government, decided who would get those critical benefits. Family, the book gives great details about how Black-owned farms, unable to compete with the well-subsidized and well-financed white farmers, fell dramatically from almost 1,900,000 in 1930 to 682,000 in 1939. And family, today, way less than that, hardly a drop in the bucket. In 1964, it says, by 1964, a study found that every program administered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture was rife with racial discrimination. The federal loans from the USDA were used by local white administrators to retaliate against Black farmers for their support of civil rights efforts or for simply voting or attempting to vote. I want to read you an excerpt from Dr. Martin Luther King, and I'm going to leave it at that. In 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King spoke at a rural Mississippi church and put land front and center. Watch this quote. I'm reading a quote, a direct quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, 1968, about Black farmers. At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land through get our check, end quote, from Dr. Martin Luther King, 1968. How many of you all saw my recent reparations speech that I did in Washington, D.C. just a few weeks ago? Shout out to Brother Phil Scott. He permitted us to play my 20-minute speech here on the platform. If you haven't seen it, be sure to go under the video so that you can watch my 20-minute speech that I just recently gave here in the United States, in our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. over reparations. Dr. King told them in 1968 that the purpose of us going to Washington, D.C. was to get our check. And shortly right after that, they took him out. Who is they? The United States. Did you see what he specifically said about how they gave all of the land, the resources to teach white folks how to farm, give them the land to farm, gave them county agents to farm, low interest rates for those that needed loans? And it's the same issue that we've got today. And the Democrats are playing politics today with the Black farmers. I just wanted you to share. I wanted to share this powerful information with you. I can't wait to hear what you have to say below. Beloved, people are always asking me, Vicki, how do you always have an intuitive sense about what's going on in the world? Beloved, it's because I'm tapped into the supernatural. I brag about stuff that I don't know because I'm tapped into a divine spiritual order, a spiritual council. If you want to know how to do that, join my supernatural spiritual monthly mastermind school at VickiPlanet.com. It's called the Vicki Dillard Mystery School. Go to my website at VickiPlanet.com. That's VickiPlanet.com, VICKI Planet.com. Your life will never be the same. And of course, share the broadcast here from African Diaspora News Channel. I can't wait to see you